my lovely students. Today we are going to start a new chapter of history section, that is chapter number 8, Education and British Rule. So when the British East India Company arrived in 1608, Mughal Empire under the Jahangir had just taken over the rule after Akbar's death. Hindus and Muslims had their own systems of education. Being oppressed subjects for centuries, Hindu tried to teach their children either in temples, pathshalas using Sanskrit language. Muslim children learned similar skills in maktabs or madrasas, but in Persian and Arabic. Higher learning was given in madrasas. Girls generally remained uneducated except through personal efforts at home. Zamindars and elite court officials oftenly arranged education of their daughters at home by hiring suitable teachers. Reading, writing, and basic arithmetic provided the basic education. What the British noted was that the Indian culture was highly sophisticated and highly advanced spiritual and cultural heritage. This was testified by Lord Macaulay in British Parliament. He devised his education system in 1835 so as to destroy the very roots of the indigenous culture that made it an economically advanced. According to Lord Macaulay, Indian society was highly sophisticated. He said the following lines about India in 1835 in the British Parliament. I have travelled across the length and the breadth of India. I have not seen one person who is beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country. Such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage, and therefore I propose that we replace her an ancient education system, her culture, for if the Indian thinks that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self esteem, their native self culture, and they will become what we want, a truly dominated nation. Charter Act of 1813 was the first step towards making education an objective of the government. It must be seen as an important landmark in the history of modern education in India. The Christian missionaries opened schools in the presidencies and the cities. Here, the medium of instructions was English. The main motive of this school was to literate Indians for the clerical work and spread Christianity. British government became the paramount power in India after the revolt of 1857, when the power of company passed on to the hands of the British crown. The Industrial Revolution and the Renaissance, along with the series of social political revolutions, transformed the European societies, while at the same time, Indian society remained untouched by the outside world. It was only due to the reaction of British that the Indian people initiated the march to reform and modernize Indian society. In 1835, it was decided that English would be the medium of instructions and Indians would be imparted Western education. As a result, English education spread throughout India. The Charter Act already directed the East India Company to spend 1 lakh rupees annually to promote education in India. But due to controversies in medium of instruction, this money was left untouched. On the medium of instruction, two groups arose. These were the Anglicist and the Orientalist. Anglicists were led by Lord Macaulay. They were of the views that Indian must be taught English, while the Orientalist, led by H.T. Prinsep, advocated the need to study vernacular languages and Western science. The next topic is Wood's Dispatch. Wood's Dispatch was introduced by Charles Wood in 1854. The British Parliament appointed a special parliamentary committee to study the education policies of the company and suggest suitable educational reforms for India. The committee prepared a dispatch, means a policy document. It was favorably considered by the company's board of control that was presided by Charles Wood. So that was the reason it came to be known as Wood's Educational Dispatch or Wood's Dispatch. The dispatch asked the government to assume responsibility of educating Indian masses, a suggestion contrary to the different theories. An important suggestion of was to establish universities in India. Thus, the Three Universities Act of 1857 was passed, establishing universities at Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay, and creation of an education department in each provinces of British India. However, little could be done because the company ceased to be a political power after the revolt, and the crown took control of government of India. In 1859, an order was passed that the government of India should own responsibility of primary education. Accordingly, the government of India instructed to levy local taxes for this task. Consequently, in 1864, local tax was levied in various provinces of India for meeting the expenditure on primary education. The features of Wood's dispatch were regularizing the education system in India from the primary to the university levels. Next was Indians were to be educated in English as well as in their native language. Education system was to be set up in every province. Every district should have at least one government school. Affiliated private schools could be granted aids, and stress would be put on education of women. Hunter's Commission. Hunter's Commission was presided over in 1882 by W. W. Hunter. The commission was to review the progress of education since Wood's dispatch. Hunter's Commission made a valuable contribution to the development of mass education by recognizing primary education as education of the masses. Use of mother tongue as the medium of instruction at the primary level was also an important recommendation of this commission. Following the method adopted in England, the commission recommended that the control of the primary education should be handed over to district and the municipal boards. During the period of Lord Curzon, universities were under the control of government. This control increased with the increasing control of universities over the private colleges. Indians criticized this because the task of appointing lecturers and professors were handed over to the universities. Calcutta University Commission was appointed by Government of India in 1917 to inquire into the condition and prospect of Calcutta universities under the chairmanship of Dr. Michel Sadler, the Vice Chancellor of the Leeds University. The term and the reference included all aspects of secondary and university education, and the major recommendations were in those days the matriculation examination, which marked the end of school stage and constituted an entrance examination of the universities, was conducted by the universities. After 2 years, another public examination was held, which was called an intermediate examination. This was followed by the first degree examination. The commission concluded that the intermediate stage was really a part of the school course, and that the students at this stage could be more effectively taught by the school methods than by the college methods. So the intermediate class of the universities were to be transferred to the secondary institution. The duration of the undergraduate course for the first degree should be increased to 2 to 3 years with the provision of honors course. A board of secondary and intermediate education should be established for the purpose of reorganizing high schools. The universities should be left to their proper sphere, namely the provision of undergraduate and postgraduate education and holding of examination for the first, second and the research degrees. The university should have Department of Education with provision of teaching education as the subject at BA level. The inter-university board should be established to coordinate the work of different Indian universities. It was not only the British who took the initiative to spread modern education in India, but the Indian leaders also took part in it. Western educated Indians supported Western education to modernize India, but some Indians and scholars and leaders did not support the educational policies of British. Prominent among them were Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. Mahatma Gandhi strongly criticized Western education policies, but Tagore wanted to merge Western education with Indian traditions. Rabindranath Tagore recognized the importance of science and technology and wanted to promote them along with art, music, dance at Shantiniketan. Most of the thinkers wanted British system of education to be extended to different sections of society, while others supported an alternative system of education. The agenda of national education policy continued even after independence. What was the impact of modern education in Indian society? So, during the period of British rule, the Indians were deeply influenced by the usage of English language and Western thoughts in a number of ways. The spread of Western education evoked a modern, democratic, rational, and national outlook among the educated Indians, which then spread to the masses. The Western education and influence of Western thoughts help in eradicating numerous age old customs and traditions. The study of English literature introduced new Western thoughts like liberty, equality, and fraternity. The education that began in India during the British time brought the Indians into a close contact with rational and scientific ways of thinking and also increased the interest in science and technology. Literacy helped Indians to understand India's past and made them proud of their own heritage. Many Swadeshi institutions and societies were set up during the colonial rule, which played an important role in the growth of education. To promote education among the Muslims, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan opened Anglo Oriental School at Aligarh. In 1877, he established Mohammedan Anglo Oriental College there. Beside religious education, it imparted knowledge in science and Western learning. Christian missionaries were also started in many cities. With national awakening, the leaders of Swadeshi movement established National Council of Education. It started national colleges and schools. Vishwabharati University, one of the most prominent educational institutions, was started by Rabindranath Tagore at Shantiniketan, Bengal. The credit for establishing the Banaras Hindu universities goes to Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya. He also established Vidyapit at Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Talking about the two most prominent leaders who were great visionary and who had contributed in the field of education. One, the ruler of Baroda, Maharaja Sayaji Rao, ascended the throne in 1881. After occupying throne, he took keen interest in education, upliftment of subordinate classes, and introduced a variety of social reforms. Under his guidance, Baroda emerged as a major center of learning. Many institutions of higher education were established, including Baroda College, Bharatiya Sangeet Vidyalay, Kal Bhavan Technical Institute. The Baroda University Grant Commission in 1925 made a strong plea of establishment of residential universities at Baroda, but this could not materialize due to adverse circumstances. Later in 1947, Sir Pratap Singh Gaikwad appointed a committee to review the proposal for establishing a university, which finally culminated in Baroda government establishing Maharaja Sayaji Rao University in 1949. As already said, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan led a movement to educate the Muslims of entire South Asia, and this movement was also known as Aligarh movement. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan established a college known as Aligarh Muslim University in 1877 with a view to transform the political, social, educational and religious ideas of Muslim. He founded Indian Patriotic Association with the support of some Hindus and Muslim leaders. He openly advocated Hindu-Muslim unity. He used to say that they were of one nation as their mother country was India. He said, "Remember that the words Hindu and Muslims are only meant for religious distinction. Otherwise, all persons who reside in a country belong to one and the same nation." He emphasized on the study of science. It was with his efforts that first translational society was set up in 1864, which was later named as Scientific Society. This society is known for the translating English books on scientific studies and other subjects in Urdu. This movement is known as it was known for popularizing modern education among the Indian Muslims. Nawab Abdul Latif founded the Mohammedan Literary Society of Calcutta in 1863 for the spread of modern education among the Muslims in Bengal. He worked hard towards unifying Hindus and Muslims. So, this was all about this lesson. Read the lesson properly, and notes will be given in the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much.